Hello. I'm sure any of you watching this already know how to sew on a hook and eye, but I'm going to show you how I do it just for consistency's sake. When I'm doing closures, I like to double thread my needle. So I just took this thread, folded it in half, and then I thread the fold. And that way when I'm stitching, I have 4 threads instead of 2, and I can do fewer stitches. So any kind of button snap, hook and eye, that's what I do. So looking at a dress, this dress doesn't have a space for a hook and eye at the top, but it's valuable to sort of like analyze what's going on with your dress. This dress, you can see this side is higher, so if I unzipped it all the way and I just said, oh, okay, you know, that's the top of the dress, and then I stitched it, you know, with the top points meeting, then when I zipped it up again, it would be off. You know, it would do a weird buckle. So you do want to check where it actually meets. You know, that looks a mess to me, but you know, I'm not going to go ahead and fix this whole dress. I'm going to use my judgment and make choices based on the garment that I have, not on the ideals about how I would make it. It can be hard to do. I'll place the hook, you know, behind the fabric. See, it's low compared to the top edge because, you know, again, I can't put it up here. So I've got to put it down here. Just have the hook barely showing over the edge because we do want it to be as invisible as possible. And then you know, because I've doubled my thread, I don't have to do as many stitches, but I still want to get, you know, enough in there. You know, I'm mostly stitching the lining, but also reaching under and grabbing some of the interior layers for support. You know, if I just stitch it to the lining, it will pull really hard on the lining and might make a hole. So, whoops, missed that entirely. I hope that loop isn't messing with anyone's mind. But, you know, so 4 or 5 stitches. Quick, just to get it on. We use silver for the insides of dresses, not black obviously, but you don't want to spend a more expensive white one on something like this, so silver is the ideal choice for the interior of a dress. So now I have that in place. Obviously I would use white. I'm just doing this so you guys can see it. I gave myself way too little thread. Forgive me for a moment while I rethread. It's going so quickly. Sometimes I forget myself when I double thread and I just pull out enough for if I were single. So anyway, can always cut this out. Blew my own mind the other day while doing embroidery, realizing that the way I tie off my thread is essentially just a French knot, like an embroidery. So again, check that I'm matching. You know, it's good to do one side and then match the other side to it. So again, just barely can see that sticking out from under there. Hold it in place. I was not looking at the camera, so I hope I didn't suddenly go off screen. Same thing, 4 or 5 stitches. you know, the function of this is to hold the dress together at the top of the zipper. You know, anything with a tight fit, any kind of corsetry is going to, I like to stitch under the fabric if I'm going to move around, because I don't like stitches sitting on top. I think it looks messy, so I will tend to try to hide my stitches as invisibly as I can. And again, just tie off. I'm neurotic, so I like to do more than one knot. And then to hide the tail, I will just sew back into the dress before I clip off, because now the tail of my thread is inside of the dress rather than hanging out looking sloppy. So I can check it, make sure it matches, make sure you can't see it. You know, if this were like many of our dresses, kind of cheap dress, but like many of our dresses in the shops, you know, there's going to be a space at the top of the zipper where the hook and eye is going to go, and you want it to be, you know, kind of as hidden as you can get it while having it still line up correctly. But with the zipper that goes over it, you can't see it at all. And again, you know, kind of the most important factor is just making sure that you're sewing the dress as it is, not as you might love for it to be, because I always think that looks really sloppy when the height is twisted out of shape by a hook and eye that isn't placed correctly. So just check your work as you're doing it, and you should be totally good to go.